All right, so for today, we had both of our notebooks out. I know you don't have yours, but if you do, awesome. But if you don't, you can just put it on a separate sheet of paper. But I can also kind of show you some different things as well. So in our sandbox, you should have your little practices that we've done for finding characters, setting, conflict, and theme. And we're going to kind of take this information that you have in here and kind of make it a little bit more in depth, because in order for us to infer a theme, we have to also be able to back up our theme. And your theme, everything like character, setting, and conflict should all tie back to your theme. Okay, so you're going to see a sheet here in a second. It looks like this. And we're basically going to take the information that is on here and we're going to put it onto this. As you can see, it says characters, it has setting, and it has conflict, and then down at the very bottom, it's going to have theme. So you're going to see that we're doing a lot of the same things. We're just making it so we're breaking it out more. So then that way we can explain why we think the theme is what we think it is. Okay? All right, so this document, I know that you may not have a copy of this. So if you don't have a copy of it, I'm going to show you where you can access it so that way you can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and show that to you now. If you go into Congress Explorers Explorers Reading and Writing course, you're going to go into where it says Your Assignments, and you're going to click on the one that is a link. It says Story Elements Plot Chart Theme Practices, and when you click on it, it's going to ask you to make a copy, and make sure you make a copy of it. Okay, and then you're going to see it looks very similar to one that is like this, except for it just has you type stuff in. So before you do anything though, I want you to come up here and I want you to type your name. And then after you type your name, you're going to hit share. And I want you to share it with me. So you're going to type in Dingman in here, click on it, and you're going to share it with me. Okay, so make sure you do that. And then send it. That way I have access to it. I can see what you're doing. So that way I can see that you're doing the assignment. All right? Okay. So anyway, I'll kind of go through what we did in class today, because essentially the information that you have on this document, which I know you may not have with you, which is fine. I'm going to show you where you can access all of these stories anyways. But all this information is going to be put onto this document. So I'm going to walk you through what we did in class. You're essentially going to take all the items that are on here and you're going to type it onto your information on that document that I just showed you that you should have just shared with me. Okay? So right here, you would essentially go on here, you type your name, you type your class, you type today's date, and then we're going to do Sweet Cocoon first. So you're going to see that. So I'm going to close this down a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So if this is what you have, oops, you're essentially going to take the information I'm talking about and typing it here. So title, Sweet Cocoon. You'll type Sweet Cocoon right here. Author, ESMA. You're going to type that right here. Okay. So we talked about characters, and this is the one where the caterpillar is trying to become a butterfly, and it's kind of too big to fit in the cocoon. That's kind of what's happening. So we talked about characters, and we had to describe the characters. And so as a class, and again, this information, all of this is going to be typed right in here. I know this is circled. If you want to highlight that, that's fine. You can just highlight it instead of circling it. But we talked about that the caterpillar is stressed, determined, happy, kind of goes in that order of the actual story. And then based on what we talked about for, based on what we talked about for different types of characters, that's in your resource notebook on page 37, we discovered that the caterpillar is in fact the round character, because we know a lot about that character. And then we also know it's a dynamic character because that character changes on the inside. So we went ahead and wrote that on there as well. It's a round and dynamic character. And then we had the beetles, and we split them apart. We had a large beetle and a small beetle, kind of described what they were, and then they're flat characters. And they're also kind of static. They're just there. The setting, kind of go down to this next one. The setting is it was in the forest. It's in an open atmosphere. Again, most of this information you already had written down in your sandbox, but we kind of elaborated more on it. Conflict. This is one that I wanted to talk to you, the classes, a lot about. I would have a lot of kids who they would write the conflict, and we know we have to have the word but in your conflict. However, some of you were writing a conflict that actually wasn't the conflict. You were not telling what the conflict was. You were saying how it was resolved, essentially. And so we want to make sure that you're saying what the character, and the character is going to be that round dynamic character, which is Caterpillar, what that character wanted, and then what was in the way. So, but this was in the way of he or she getting that. Okay, so we took the conflict that we put in the sandbox and kind of elaborate a little bit more. So we said Caterpillar wanted to become a butterfly, but she was too big to fit in the cocoon. Okay, so that's the conflict. I'm not going to give anything away in the conflict. I don't want to have a summary in the conflict. I don't want to tell the reader or anyone what actually happened at the very end. So this information, again, you should be typing all your information over here. It kind of goes along over here. So the conflict, you're going to type that. Setting over here. Okay. Now, these two boxes, conflict and resolution to conflict, they're in the same color type box because they go together. They should basically be about the same things. They should connect. So if you're looking here, it says, so if we set up here, a character or Caterpillar wanted to become a butterfly. Okay. So this question right here, it says, did the character get what they wanted? So if they did, we're going to say, yeah, Caterpillar became a butterfly. And it fit in the cocoon with the bug's help. So we can say that. Okay, so yeah, it did. We can say how it was able to get what it wanted, but it did. Okay, and then the resolution of the story is what happened at the very, very end of the story. This is not a summary of what happened at the end of the story. Go to the very end of that story to see what happened. Now, what I ended up doing with some of the classes today is, let's see if I can find this. This right here, and I'll show you where you can access this. It's really tiny right now. But anyway, so you can go in here and you can actually click on Sweet Cocoon, and you can go in and you can scroll through and watch part of it. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but it was kind of nice because we went in and we were like, okay, let's see what's happening. We can go to the very end. Like, you scroll that way. Don't watch the whole thing. The point is not to watch the whole thing today. The point is to get all of the information written down that you know about the story. Okay? All right. So then after that, we came up with the last part, which is the theme. So we wanted to discuss and kind of figure out what is the theme of the story. And again, the theme of the story needs to go back to that round dynamic character. What did that round dynamic character learn? So Caterpillar is, again, the round dynamic character. So be aware of your surroundings. That's what one class came up with. And so if we're thinking about that and going back over here in the very beginning, let's see if I can find it. Right here, you're going to see that the caterpillar becomes very aware of its surroundings. It hears the bird and freaks out and tries to whatever. Okay? Now, this is getting into my evidence. So this is going to be evidence from the story. So be aware of your surroundings. So I can say at first, the caterpillar, when trying to get into the cocoon, was out in the wide open space. The bird flew by. He or she realized that there was the bird. However, at the end, after it became a butterfly, this happened. And the butterfly's like, look at me, I'm awesome, and I can fly, I'm not worried about anything. And then all of a sudden the bird takes him. So from this, you could even add that in here, because that all ties back into be aware of your surroundings. Okay? And then getting into like an R is like the background knowledge for the theme. So your own background knowledge, because when you are trying to create an inference for a theme, you're taking the information from the story plus your own personal information or background information, and you're smushing it all together to get that claim, which is your theme. Okay, so in order for that to be your theme, you took stuff from the story plus your own understanding of it, and that's how that became the theme. Okay? All right, so I'm not going to necessarily show you how to explain this, but essentially what you're doing is you're saying, here's my theme, and here's why I know that. Okay? All right, so again, all that information should be on that document that you have. This thing right here. Okay? All right, then after you get done doing that, you're going to do one more, and it's going to be on the back. So if you have the piece of paper, you can turn it over and do it on the back. Otherwise, you're going to go scroll down onto this. You have one more section here, and you are going to be doing this. So if you do not have access to your sandbox, so you don't have all that information, you can go back into the reading writing course and you can click on the gray folder where it says story links. And if you click on that, it looks like this. And this takes you to all the links that you may want to look at to do that second practice. So you're going to click on one of them. I don't care which one you end up doing, especially if you don't have your sandbox, because you don't have that information for you. You can kind of just restart it. It shouldn't take you very long to recreate, though. And you're just going to fill out that second portion, which is that bottom section. It'll be essentially the same as what this was. All right. And then when you are done, I would like for you to email me that you are done. So then that way I can go back and actually check that this is 100% done, because you're going to share it with me before you start it. So make sure you just email me when you are 100% done. Other than that, that's all I really have for you. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.